Okay, this is Orlando Wilson. What I want to talk about in this video is honey traps. And these issues I come across occasionally. They happen a lot more than I'm sure I come across, and they are I would say it's a pretty common thing to happen. But we have to differentiate between honey traps and people getting extorted from bad relationships. To me, a honey trap is where the criminals, the intelligence agencies, etc., will send out people, usually females, to go and entrap males for blackmail purposes, to gain information from them, etc., to gain favors from them, etc. That to me is a lot different than people that get involved in relationships. The relationship goes bad, and the person they've dumped or no longer wants to be in a relationship with starts blackmailing that person. Now, honey traps, again, a big spy criminal tactic that's been around forever, and they do happen a lot more than they're reported, because a lot of people that's been honey trapped don't want to report what's going on to their bosses, to the police, etc., mainly due to embarrassment. I tell people, and again, somebody come to mind, somebody approached me years ago saying they were being honey trapped, etc., but it was more of a relationship, in my opinion, even though they didn't want to hear it, a relationship that went bad. But I think they were in denial about the situation they were in. You got to think about, and again, from a close protection perspective, if you look at the client, think about what would somebody have to benefit from honey trapping them. Would it be purely extortion, or are they in a business where there's trade secrets, financial secrets? What information do they have access to that could make them a target for being honey trapped? The main targets for pure honey traps these days are traveling businessmen, executives, etc. They go out, and again, this happens to a lot of guys especially. I've never come across a female that's been honey trapped. I've come across plenty of females that's had issues with sextortion, which is where they've shared explicit videos, pictures of themselves with somebody, a lot of times who they've never met online, and then people say to them, okay, we want money, or we're going to start making your videos and pictures public. To me, sextortion is different than honey traps. So again, the businessman will be out traveling, go to a bar, go to a nightclub, bump into some female, and generally end up in a relationship with the female. Sometimes it's a one-night stand. It's generally for the one-night stands. You have to be careful, because, and the people that's hot on this are the Chinese. They'll target people, and even for a one-night stand, their people's objective is to get access to the clients, to the targets, hotel rooms, etc., just to gain access to electronic devices, be it hard drives, thumb drives, computers, phones, etc., and there's a lot that can be gained from that. An easy defense against that is always don't keep much information, relevant information, on your phones, on your electronic devices. Keep them in cold storage, keep them on a hard drive, and keep that very, very secure somewhere. Hard drive, thumb drive, etc. But this is where people ask me about the honey traps. This is where the targets, the guys in general, have to let it happen. And this is where a lot of guys are stupid, especially they become dumb, however intelligent they are. If a female gives them attention, if they're in a nightclub, in a bar, and somebody starts flirting with them, etc., how many guys are stupid enough to go and get involved? The more intricate honey traps might not just be a one-off occasion. It can be a dating process. A dating process that might go on for an extended period of time, just so the girls that's doing the honey trap can gain access, can gain more trust to their target, to get more and more information. What defense can you have against that? It's doing the due diligence. It's doing the due diligence on the people that, from a protection perspective, doing the due diligence on these young ladies that's trying to get into a relationship with the client. The big problem here is a lot of clients are blinded by the fact that somebody's not really in love with them. Somebody doesn't find them to be the sexual god they think they are, and that they're purely just to rip them off, extort them, etc. So this is where, if you have clients with ego problems, they're prime targets for this type of thing. And you know what, the criminals, the serious criminals, will be socially engineering things so the client does fall in love with the person they're sending along to target them, so they can gain the maximum amount of information or influence, or get them to do them favors, or provide them with money, etc., etc. And you know what, if the girls are good, a lot of times the clients don't even, the targets don't even realize what they're doing until they've given away too many secrets, they've given away too much money, and all of a sudden it's shit, what do we do now, because we're in overheads. That's generally when I get the call, and from my perspective we have to look at things in depth to see what can be done. It's more of a damage limitation thing than anything else. I mentioned about the pure extortion side of things, and this is where, and this happens a lot these days, where somebody will get involved in a relationship and they'll dump their partner. And this happens on both sides, women dumping guys, guys dumping women, etc. And then somebody will try to extort somebody, usually from the guy's perspective, or even again the females not so much. The guy's perspective, their young lover will decide to, they're not happy that their finances has been cut, and the gentleman wants to go back to his wife, so they want to approach the wife, they want to do this, they want to do that, etc. That type of thing, how do you avoid it? As I said, don't go putting your dick where it's going to cause you trouble. But again, from a damage and limitation thing there, people have to be, guys have to be, and girls have to be extremely careful. In a lot of places, one country in particular, it only takes somebody to go to a civil court, a family's court, and lodge a domestic violence complaint against somebody, and the whole relationship's out in the open, because everybody has to go to court. And a lot of guys will pay, I know people that's paid to keep such things quiet because they didn't want their wives to find out about it, etc., etc. Even though there's been no domestic violence involved, it only takes that one accusation. So this is where you have to be extremely careful, and if things escalate, it's more of a stalker management. You have to deal with it more from a stalker management perspective. But again, it's a very, very difficult thing to deal with. But again, people make choices, and a lot of times people make the wrong choices. And when you're dealing with relationships, you have to make the right choices. You know what, I've done plenty of stupid things over the years, but I've done them when I was young and had nothing to lose. If you got nothing to lose, go be crazy. But you got to think about it from a mature perspective. If you got anything to lose, and it's just not finances, it's also reputation, you have to be extremely careful who you deal with, especially in adult relationships. And again, don't go getting involved with people who you don't know who they are 200%. You don't know where they come from. Again, people approaching you online, it's like, don't talk to strangers. My main thing with these people these days is don't talk to strangers. If you don't know somebody 200%, do not talk to them, do not deal with them, etc. But again, this is where people, guys especially, some female shows them attention, and all of a sudden they think they're an Adonis and they're a sexual god, and the sky's the limit until they end up falling flat on their ass. So be very, very careful. Honey traps do happen. Extortion is very, very common. So be very, very careful who you're dealing with. And as always, don't talk to strangers. In the meantime, follow me along on social media. I have articles up and books up on this topic, on the topic of extortion, etc., etc. Check out my blog, True Funny Has a Few Friends. There's numerous articles up there about these topics. I have an array of books up on Amazon, and we have a lot of videos now up on social media. I prefer LinkedIn and X. We back stuff up on Instagram and YouTube, but we don't take them too seriously. A little bit too woke for us. In the meantime, be good, stay safe, stay out of trouble, and remember, do not talk to strangers.